Thanks for having me on your show. My name's Eny Osung, and my company is Global.media. It's the trading name of my parent company that I set up in 2015.
Hello and welcome to Obehi Podcast. I'm your host, Obehi A14, and I strongly believe that everyone has a story to share. Now let's get started with this episode.
I'm based in England. I said it's not I was. I was born in England, lived in Nigeria when I was a child, came back as a teenager. And now I run a marketing agency which helps small businesses to try and sell more online.
All right, that's great. That's fantastic. So you were born in UK.
Yes, I was born in Woolwich.
All right, that's beautiful. Do you want to tell me a little bit about your background growing up? Okay, first, you are originally from Nigeria. Okay, your parents are from
Yes, my
Nigeria.
mom and dad, mom and dad are from Nigeria.
Okay, you want to tell me a bit about that?
What can I say? They got married in Nigeria, before we were born, and they both came here. So, my dad was a surgeon. So it was. My mom, is a professor of food. So, I guess, I got an older sister who's a year older than me. And when they had children, they were busy working because life in England is about working, really. So they decided the best option was for us to go and grow up with our granddad in Nigeria. And that was fun. That was a lot of fun. So we grew up in, the back end of, I say back end, Edo State, that as it is now. So there was Bendel State then. So we grew up near Ekpoma, so, in Irua. Granddad he owns a hospital. So, it was a fun time to grow up as a kid.
That's lovely. So we are even from the same place. I'm from Esan. You're also from Esan. That is great. I'm from Uromi. You are from Irua. Can you?
Small
What?
world. It's a small world, isn't it? It's an amazingly small
It's a
world.
small word over here, but a small word it be. Bokia. What is Esan? Can you speak Esan?
No, I could, but I think last time I went, I guess I can learn. No, I can hear more, I can understand more than I can't speak at all now, which is a terrible shame. I have to tell you, it would say, when of course, we could speak the language when we were there, but I think we'll find very quickly, unless you speak a language constantly, you soon forget totally how to speak it. So the weird thing is, I've got a 14-year-old boy now, my youngest, and he's more keen to speak the language than me. And he'll go and watch it on YouTube and start talking to me in English, and I'm like,
That is so
what
interesting.
can I say?
It's so interesting, Annie.
It really is a shame, though. It's one of those things you wish you had done differently.
Mhm.
But I say, if I ever went back there in the long term, I'm sure I could pick it up again quite easily.
This podcast also exists in the sign language.
Really?
Yeah. Because the intention is to have people of Asan language explain who they are, talk about themselves, anything they want to talk about. But instead of using English, they just use Asan, so that we don't have any reason not to be available on the internet for people to see us and feel us and see the way we see the world.
Hmm.
So yeah, it exists there.
I say that is amazing. Using the internet to help, or to help our people to get further forward. I think it's a great thing. That's the reason why I exist. I think it's a great thing you're doing there. My granddad wrote a book. It's on my shelves over there. About the Asian, the culture. So you're doing yours digitally. So it's a brilliant thing to do. Good on you is what I say.
Thank you so much for that. We'll talk about your father's work maybe on another occasion because I'm interested in everything that have to do with ASAN, with our history, with where we are coming from. All right, now, Annie, let's talk a little bit about you. Now we know where you are coming from. You see, I'm really very key on that. In that, our history is a lot. It tells us a lot about us and where we are coming from, and also where we are going. So we never make the mistake of forgetting that. So that is why I'm really intentional about that. Of course, I'm still there just now. So tell me a bit about you growing up in the UK. What do you want us to know about that?
In the UK. No, it's I suppose like I said, I grew up in Nigeria in Iran until I was 13. Then we came back here, so our dad came to get us. I'm telling you because now this is what the striking memory I have. We arrived back in the UK in November. And coming out of the airport, nothing prepares you for the cold. Nothing prepares you for that freezing, snowy thing. It really, it never crossed our mind once how cold it can be. And so literally that shock of coming out and thinking, ooh, here, so it was snowing on the day. I remember that clearly. But it wasn't really snowing. It was like rain and snow mixed together. So you sort of now you're confused, and everything just looked so different. Everything, so that first day, everything was just weird. We just didn't have a comprehension at all. I suppose England was not what we dreamt of when we were in Nigeria. I think it's a weird thing in Nigeria. When you think of heaven, you look up in the sky. When you think of England, you look up in the sky. There's this fantasy world that you're gonna go to. And here we were in this fantasy one. We're thinking, everything's smaller. And the houses are smaller, and it's just a place, but it's just a cold place, But in terms of growing up, in terms of living, I suppose we were still that mix between Nigerian and British. British, obviously, by birth, British by passport, but still Nigerian by the way we think. So that it took a while to get used to being, again, there's many weird things that you never know when you're a kid in Nigeria. Racism, for example, it never crosses your mind in Nigeria at all. Of course not, because you're amongst black people. Whereas here, you realize some people are really strange. They behave differently. They treat you differently. But for my credit, I suppose, because there were two of us, my sister and I, and because we grew up with a big family, a successful family, so literally we didn't really get affected by people because we just knew that we deserve to be who we are, and we're gonna do what we're gonna do anyway. So that was a strange feeling, but I think just carrying on to be who we are was our main thing.
Is it like you had also a kind of a cultural shock when you eventually came to the UK? Because now you said something very important there, that when you go to the UK, you see that everything looks smaller.
Mm,
In fact, it doesn't look like what you actually had in mind.
mm.
So tell me more about that. That I'm
Yeah,
interested in
no,
it.
nothing like it. Ugh. Where do okay, let me. I gotta start somewhere, right? So when I was in Nigeria, I guess because we had the privileged life. My granddad owned the hospital, it was a memorial hospital. So that's a big, so granddad was a big person in Nigeria, and he was minister for health for a while. So we had a good life, right? All my uncle, I got 9 uncles and aunts, and they're all lawyers, doctors. I wonder if one's an accountant. So we were the spoiled kids, really. Then when we came here, I said, well, if one of my uncles had all the Mercedes Benzes, all of them, from the Jeep all the way down to the smallest one, to the two-door Mercedes, and Uncle Vasco, all in gold, by the way, all in gold color. Anyway, so there we thought we had a hard life in Nigeria. Then when we came here, you realize that such luxuries just don't exist. It's not how they live. Everything is the car was smaller. It wasn't a Mercedes, by the way. It was literally, one old car. And so we sort of looked at our dad and was like, "Why are you driving that?" And then we pulled up on the street in a house. I remember this distinctly. So got out of the car. It's like, right, that's the house. So we're like, oh, that's our house. Where's your house? That's the side. That, yeah, that's the mentality that we had. We just didn't comprehend that houses that in England were terraced, for example. We never, obviously, as a Nigerian, you never see terraced houses. You don't see houses next to each other, in a straight line, all attached. So we just didn't understand how we're meant to all live in that house, But you get used to it. You soon realize that's reality. So you just have to do what you have to do. You have to live. Otherwise you end, you feel like you're in a strange place. No, but it really is a weird, weird feeling. Obviously, the food was very different as well. From the food that we're used to in Nigeria to the food that, you can get to Nigerian food here, but our dad wasn't into Nigerian food necessarily. So the good food was more at weekends when aunties or uncles came round. So many things, everything was just different. I guess the one thing I would say about Nigeria, the experience of being a Nigerian that helped here is the school, the schooling. We felt like we were ahead of the kids here in terms of reading, writing, comprehension. Which now I look back, it makes sense. When I look on LinkedIn now, for example, nearly every Nigerian I meet on LinkedIn is a content writer. I'm like, I know why you can all write good English because you've had good schooling in Nigeria where you have to learn. Here it's much more voluntary. It's much more, this, you have exams when you're 16. In Nigeria, you have exams every year. And if you don't pass your exam in Nigeria, you don't go up to next year. Whereas in England, you just fly through education, whether you pass or not, until you get to 16, and then 18, and then you're out of school. And if you pass, if you're clever, you're good. If you're not, then you're in trouble. It's a weird experience, but it's life we've lived and got us this far. So far, so good.
All right. Thank you so much for that. Actually, there could have been a lot of things I would like to drill down
I'm
there, but
sure.
that would be for another day because
Now,
I want to spend some
look,
time.
bring me back another day. I happily talk to you about the experience. I really will. I'm cool with that.
All right, that's great. Fantastic. Fantastic. All right. Now we are in the UK. You have grown up. You are a man now, no?
I
You
think
have
so. I think I'm on I'm on the wrong side of youth. The wrong side.
what do you mean by that?
I'm not going to live forever, so it's hard to sort of work out when your time will expire.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not 50 yet, so that's why I'm still on the good side, within reason. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm not, I won't call myself young.
All right.
People might do, but I think I'm nearer the other side than the young side.
Are you happy about that or not?
Yeah, no, I'm cool. It's one is a fact.
Mm-hmm.
Two, I've had a glorious life. If I died tomorrow, I would be genuinely happy. I think life's about living and achieving your goals, and most of the things I wanted, I've achieved. It's a strange thing to say, So I can say that honestly, and be happy with my lot. I got a wonderful family. So I got kids, I got grandkids. That's I got a sister. And I got nephews. So I got a life that I dreamt of when I was a kid. That's the amazing thing, So I dreamt of a life that I wanted, and I managed to live it. It hasn't been easy. Don't get me wrong, but I'm literally as happy as with my life as I could. Things could be better in some places. Of course they could. But am I happy? Yes, I really am. I'm. You know, I've been lucky.
All right. That's great. Not many people are.
I know. I know.
but it's okay. You are happy. Sometimes we are also as happy as we want to be, as we make up our minds to be.
Yeah.
Because happiness, of course, now it depends on what we make out of it.
Yeah.
All right.
That's,
I leave
that's,
I leave that there.
I think that's such an important point. And they shouldn't let it go. That's why I'm sticking to it for a second. Happiness is it's in your soul. It's in your mind. Yeah, if you choose to live in regret, we can all do that. But if you choose to live in joy, I think it's your choice, and you can't just flip a switch and decide. No, I think the way I look at it is this: every day I'm alive, I'm grateful. And the fact that I've lived the life I have, it's a blessing. There are people who have much worse, a lot worse. I'm not saying I am settling. I'm not settling. I have a genuinely good life. I drive a Merc. I live in I own my houses. I own my house, and I've got assets. I've got income. I've got a business that I run, which helps people. What more does a man want?
Thank you so much for that, Eny. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate that. Now let's get into business. You're a marketer. You do marketing strategy for small businesses.
Yeah.
Now, first thing first, how did you get into business? Let me understand that.
Okay. I think I started my first company in Nigeria. Strange that when I was a kid. I'm told that I was trying to sell sweets for profit, so buy sweets from the shop and try and sell it to other kids for more money, and then you try and sell fruit apparently. So where I started my business. In terms of my business mindset at least. And then when we came here, I guess I was more about school. I think one of the lessons I learned very early in life is you know, concentrating on the schoolwork, pass your education early, and don't worry about girls. Because if you don't pass, if you are, if you lived a good life as a kid, when you get to adulthood, the girls will leave you when you have no money. And I took that to heart. So literally, I was a very good student. And the whole thing was trying to just learn. It turned out, I was fortunate. So I got a degree, and I got a master's. Then I got to that stage where when you're about to finish your education, you have to think, where am I going to work? So I'd had petty jobs, doing shop work, for example. So it was a case of I don't want to work in shops forever. I did some building work as well as a laborer, and if you ever do building work, construction, it's hard. It's hard work, and and in England, it's fine in summer. In winter it's cold because you're out there all day, every day. Literally all day, every day, right? So I just knew I didn't want to be doing that such manual labor. So going to school was the only way. So that's why I got my master's. And then when it came to looking for a job, I came across this on the note. I think it was on a notice board. There was an advert for an internet company. I think 3 days a week. I didn't have a clue what the internet was. I had never heard of the internet at all. I had a computer, right? But it was literally a word processor. So when I saw this internet, company, I thought, okay, let me try. It can't hurt. Let me go and see what it is. Lo and behold, I got the job. Suddenly, I've realized that it's one of the first 5,000 internet companies in the UK. And suddenly I was into the internet world, the online marketing world. And my role, again, it goes back to my point earlier about learning how to write and comprehension in Nigeria. So now I was writing content for managers and for the internet, managing a team who wrote content. So literally, I just got dropped into it. So suddenly I was creating content using the skills I had, and then discovering this internet world. See, the weird thing about working for that company, and I loved it there, by the way. There was only, it was a very new startup. Right? Now, the thing that I learned very quickly, is that everyone on the internet knows everyone because it was such a small ecosystem, and everyone, literally, if you can look at a website, find someone's name, and just call them because there's only 5,000 companies, so there's not many of us email pretty much online. Yeah. And then I guess there was a lot of aspiration. I remember I wrote many blogs. I wrote blogs about where the internet was going. So this whole dream of democracy of the internet is going to make everything equal amongst small companies. I remember writing blogs about the mobile phones. Because there were phones just about coming out there, just about. So how the phone was going to be the bigger computer than the rocket that took people to the moon, right? You know, so you're writing these sort of things. You're thinking, how can it be? How can this phone ever be that amazing? How can it be? How can we live on our phones? But that was what I was reading in those days, and I believed it. But I have to say, I'm totally shocked where we are. How tech has moved forward to actually become reality. I am amazed. So that was my journey into online marketing. The shelf.com was where I started. I learned many skills. Part of that was teaching at university, teaching HR. Obviously, then I was still developing my marketing skills there. Eventually I left the company because part of my role, say, of writing content and teaching was doing management development. So when you're a 21-year-old trying to teach managers, you get found out very easily because managers don't want to know what you know. They want to know what you've seen. They want to know, where you at. You're like, no, I'm too young to have been at anything 10 years ago. I wasn't even in the country, So that sort of frustrated me. So I left that to go and be a manager. And a part of my new role in the children's charity was setting up a whole internet, trying to create a website for them, giving them a strategy to make money, to try and use the internet, so social media, email, CRM, and so on. And that's I've developed ever since.
You see, the conversation is really fascinating and is important for me also, apart from the fact that it is important for our demography, for the people that we are serving, the African diaspora, and in this case also the Africans in Africa. Why I say that specifically is that the internet, I see it as a leveler.
Yes.
In that the moment you are connected to the grid, everybody is almost equal. What separates you now is the value that you are adding.
Yes. Okay. I agree. Okay. I'll go with you on that one. Okay, carry on. Play that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which means now that somebody somewhere inside Uromi or in Abeokuta or in some village in Congo or in Canada or in New York we don't have the same opportunity, I know, but we sort of have almost the same opportunity now. Because if you can add a good value, if you can add good value to the market is going to pay you.
Yes.
I remember a very nice story coming out from India. A woman, I don't think she even understands anything about the internet. She just started to do video about cooking. This woman suddenly began to have millions and millions of views. Her channel blew up. She didn't go to Harvard University. She's not from a big city in India. So I'm trying to look at this possibility now for us as Africans and African diaspora to be able to tap into the grid and make something out of ourselves. But I want you to look at it from the point of view of content creation.
Yeah, now you and now are in the same place in terms of what the internet could do for people. I agree with you entirely, right? So the issue for me is this. We'll talk about content in a second, if that's all right. Here's the issue for me. The democratization is there. It's possible, right? But the small man is being held to ransom. Give me a second to explain, right? So now part of the reason, so I went from my startup when I was young, doing internet marketing, content marketing, and then I moved on to a job, training to actually be a manager. Then when I got bored in that 15 years later, I thought, okay, what do I do now? And I guess my thing is helping people to have a voice. To be, to empowerment. That's what floats my boat. That's what really keeps. That's what excites me. And then, so when I looked around me in 2008, just after the big crash, I looked around and I think I had one of the kids I was working with. So literally, this kid had a marvelous, a black Ugandan girl, and she had a fantastic idea. She was doing drop shipping. So selling things that other people make and then try to sell it via her website. By 2012, this young lady, she made British handmade women's brogues. Oxford shoes. So Oxford shoes, and they're mainly for men, but this was a women's pair of handmade shoes. And the time coincided with the Olympics, the London Olympics. And so this young lady had this amazing shoes with a Union Jack on the sole, high quality, handmade, even low price, called it that. And literally she could not sell a single pair of them. I was heartbroken. I was devastated for her. So I made it my mission to help her sell those shoes. That's how I got back into marketing after leaving for so many years to go run a charity. So when you look at that in the context of your idea of the level that the internet is, I call it the democratization. You realize that the small man still can't, it's not as fair to the small businesses to achieve their business aims. It's good for access, of course it is. What it's not good for is making money. It's not good for Joe Blogs in Irua to sell their products to European people. It's good to make videos on YouTube. It's good to have your podcast. It's good to do many things. It's good to be a star on Facebook. But if you actually want to sell, people still buy only from the big companies, the Amazons of this world. Saying that I've had clients, right? When people click on your Google ads, right? They click on your ad, they like what they see, they're looking for what you sell. They click on your ad, they go to your landing page, and they decide, I don't know who that person is, so I'm going to go back and buy from Amazon. It's so heartbreaking. Now, for me, that's what destroys my soul. That's why I do what I do. That's what keeps me going, because we must correct that picture. Something's wrong somewhere. The small business is not doing what they should be doing to build trust with people, to get the reputation, brand awareness. For people to actually, when they come to the website, they think, "Oh, I know who they are. I'm going to buy from them." I'm not just talking about Nigerian companies, but either, by the way. I'm talking about, every company, every shop on the high street in this country, they're in trouble because they haven't got an online presence yet, which is going to buy them that trust, that awareness, that thing that's going to make people buy from them when they need what they sell. It's so weird. That's why I do what I do. Really, I want to correct that equation. I want to make it genuinely fair. I want to make e-commerce fair. The access, okay, we've got that now. E-commerce is nowhere near fair at all. It's rigged in favor of all the big companies, and they just keep selling and making money. And the rest of us are like idiots in the background, saying this internet thing is great, but we haven't learned how to use it yet.
All right, I like that. That is a key word. We haven't learned how to use it, which means it is there.
Yes.
It is there to be used.
Yes.
How can we use it? What do the average African diaspora content creator need to know so they can properly tap into the power of internet?
Right. Great question. A genuinely good question. This is what excites me every day. This is what I live for. Look, like I say, let's talk about the fact that you have to have a goal behind creating content. If all you're doing was, if all you want to be is a YouTuber, the word's there for you already. It's there now. Nothing's stopping you at all. You have a phone, you have data, you have access to the internet. Do your content like the Indian woman you mentioned? You can be a star if you start now. If you are an e-commerce company where you actually sell what you want people to actually pay you for, you need to have a different mind. You need to think differently, right? The problem is that we haven't many of the African companies, or companies in Nigeria or any other African country, really, they haven't got the ambition to win. They haven't got the growth mindset. Look, if you know how many times I've spoken to people and they say to me, "I just want to open a food shop and just run my food shop." I'm saying, why? Because they think a food shop, there can only be one, and that one has to be the only one that they have on the street. I'm saying to them, look, KFC was one shop, McDonald's was one shop once. They had a vision to go global from day one. What's your vision? And once you have a vision, if you can imagine, being on every high street in the world, then we can work towards it. But if you never have that vision, we can never work we're going nowhere. And what happens is that you're going to have one shop. In time, you're going to run out of customers, or you're just going to shrink and shrink and shrink and die. This is a reality. If I've had companies, Nigerians who make things that they make great crafts things, but they haven't got the ambition to do it well enough or enough of it to sell to an international audience. Those who try fail because they do the wrong things. So what's the wrong things in my eyes? The wrong thing is that, number one, they don't work at their target audience. They don't know who their customers are. And in marketing, you have to know who your customers are in a way that's laser focused. And then you have to reach out to more of your target customers than you ever can imagine. Let me try and explain that. Look, I mentioned the girl who made the brogues, the shoes, right? If you want to sell one pair of shoes, do you know what that takes? A lot of people don't understand what it takes. They think I'll just go and find a customer to buy a pair of shoes. But think more like a marketing funnel. And this is reality. If you want to sell a pair of shoes, the one at the bottom of the funnel, you know how a funnel goes, right? So the wide at the top and narrow at the bottom. So the one customer that falls out of the bottom, you need so many people to know about your shoes before you can sell one shoe. So many people, I'm talking thousands. If you want to sell a pair of shoes, think that you have to have at least, 10, 100 people who are interested in your shoes who say to you, "Oh, I like those shoes. I might want to buy a pair." Then you need another 10 times more than that. So now we're nearly 1,000 people to actually be engaging with your business, right? And then there's another stage in the funnel before that, which is where they actually have awareness of your business at all. Now we're talking about 10,000 people must actually know that you exist. You see, our brothers and sisters, and that includes my fellow white people on the high street here. They don't realize that you need so many people to be aware of your business to then feed through your funnel.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Now I'm tying everything to content because you have spent a lot of years in content creation.
Yeah.
And because a lot of people, particularly, by a lot of people looking at African diaspora and Africans in Africa, because that is our target, have the possibility of able to create content, because you did make mention of it that in Nigeria, a lot of people are very good in writing.
Yeah.
Because they have been trained properly, particularly about grammar, because that we respect university a lot. So people, I'm not saying that there are no people that do poorly, but a lot of people do very well in grammar, in construction, in writing. You have to be able to craft your work. So what is missing now, I think, like you also have pointed out, is the ability to convert that knowledge into money, into revenue, into income for us at the end of the day.
Yes.
Because now we can see that we are able to connect to the grid. But what do we get out of the grid? That something that remains with us at the end of the day. So I want you to tell me, what are some of the strategies that African content creators need to adopt so that they can get more out of their content creation in 2023?
And the simple answer is reach. You need more reach. Like I said, you need so many numbers of people if you're going to convert in e-commerce, that you need so many people to see you in the first place, and then you need to engage them. And when I say the numbers, people are surprised. I said, don't be surprised. It's a reality. You don't spend your money with someone you don't know, like, or trust. So we have to find a way where we are the go-to brand for that thing. That's what always wins. Otherwise, we're competing against the big brands who have money, resources, history. And the big brands are always marketing. Look around you, wherever you are in Africa and in this country. Wherever you go, the same companies advertise everywhere. There's a reason for that. They're front of mind. When you want what they sell, you buy it without even thinking twice. So let's stop being the ones that were like stepping stones. Let's begin to make sure that we are the ones who are well known. That means thinking beyond free. And that's probably my biggest message today. It's all right to post on social media. It's all right to post on YouTube. But if you want to convert, you need to do more than just post. You need to be a lot more proactive. There's a reason why I do what I do for my clients. And in terms of what I do, I try and get my clients in front of the right people in huge numbers. So to give you an idea, one of my services is email marketing. And the reason I do that is because there's no other way that you can get to 2,000 people a month using one simple technique, right? And that's why I do email marketing, because I can target your ideal customers and then message them on your behalf, and then at least they know you exist. And then starts your process that might lead to you selling in good time. You see, when I say let's get away from free, a lot of us have, we have been poisoned by this idea that Facebook is free. Yeah, Facebook is free. But have you noticed that no one sees your posts on Facebook anymore? A lot of people haven't even noticed, because look, if you've got 100 followers on Facebook, right? 1,000 followers on Facebook, you'd be lucky if 2% see your content. That's what's wrong with free. You have to learn to advertise, basically, to make Facebook work. And I was spoke to someone this morning, and they're telling me how Facebook in Kenya is effectively behind a VPN. It literally doesn't exist the way we think. You have to access it in special ways, so they can't sell through Facebook. I'm saying the democracy is not there. If you're going to make your money on the internet, you're going to have to spend a lot of money to advertise, to push your content to the right people in huge numbers. Huge.
All right. I want to back up again now.
Please.
Let's go back to content.
Yeah.
What does it even mean, content creation? I want you to give us the basics so that people can even understand what we are talking about here.
Content, is what is going to get people looking at your business in whatever form, right? And it comes down to basic idea. Look, some people like to read, so you need to write written word, blogs, reports, and that sort of thing. Some people like to listen, which is where podcast comes in. And some just like listening, and so you can create this audio content. Then also some people like to watch. That's where video comes into it. You have to be creating content in all those those three formats to reach everyone that you want to reach. There's some people who are never going to engage, but there's some people who consume all three. What you need to work at is where are my customers, and how do they want to see me? How can I actually get into their heads? How can I engage them? And then create the content that it takes for you to get them to actually see you, number one, and then respond to you. It's when they respond to you, it's when they click on your content that you begin to engage them. And then it's a question of so if I click on your video, what do I do next? So when I saw your podcast, I knew to email you or to message you on YouTube, and then talk to you on LinkedIn, and then run around and find someone who knew you already, a friend of mine who we both know. I'm saying that's what it takes. You need to be omnipresent in a way that I don't think many people understand to make the internet work. This is what keeps small men down, because they don't seem to understand that they have to be a lot more proactive, a lot more intentional, a lot more. They have to do more if they want more. We all do. We all do. You and I could be sitting at home doing nothing right now, but we're here. You're creating content. It furthers my brand, it furthers your brand, and hopefully helps people too. It's all part of the game. You can't just do one thing and think I've done it. That's never going to work, because other people are doing the same thing. And then how are you going to stand out? How are you going to stand out from all the others? Why would I want to choose you rather than someone else? These are all part of the content game that we're always trying to play.
That is very important. This is a good lecture that people are getting here today. And I believe that people are listening and they are learning. That is the most important part of it. Now, when you were talking before, you did make mention of target customer or target audience, as it were, if we are now looking at content creation.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what do you mean by that? Why is it important for content creators and for marketers by extension?
Yeah, another great question. Look, when whatever you sell, everyone is not your customer. Even if you sell biro, pen to you or me, and everyone writes, not everyone buys biro. Not everyone's going to buy your biro. Not everyone's going to buy your product because they're just not. There are some people who are going to buy your product because it's aimed for, it's ideal for them. It meets their need. It meets their pain point. Let's stick with the biro example. You know that you're going to target school kids, for example, as the ones who are going to buy a cheap pen to work with. So you have to intentionally aim for them to see you, like you, trust you, and they buy from you. There's no point aiming for the company bosses because they buy more expensive pens, more like Parker pens. Are you with me? There's different
See, I'm
brands of
here.
pens.
Mhm.
Right. So you have to aim your content at the right people. The trick for everyone is working out who your target audience is. Again, not many people are very good at it. They aim for everyone, and then they get no one to listen to them because what they're saying doesn't resonate with anyone. What you're writing and what you're producing must speak to someone's pain point. The reason I'm here with you today is because I want this platform, I want this opportunity to talk to our people. So when I saw what you've done, when I saw your podcast, I was like, oh, I want to be on that podcast. And there's not many people have that clarity about what they do. So they end up being hazy, and then people they respond to them in a hazy kind of way as well. That's just a sad reality of the world we live in.
Yeah, clarity is everything. I think is what is his name? Alexander Grant Bell, who said that uh, the sun rays will not burn until it is brought to focus.
Mm.
Because if you don't know exactly what you want, know this and that plus that plus that plus that, you're not going to hit anything. You're going to be moving in a circle until you are actually super focused on it. You're not going to get it. But if you are super focused on it, you will get it. Nothing will stop you.
My friend, say that again. Say that again. That's the point. That really is the point. And that is more important. Again, it's so important, and such a thing that we have to keep saying it. Look, go on LinkedIn, go and look at any Nigerian's profile. Any Nigerian, as I speak to, I connect with many of them these days because I'm working more people in Nigeria, so I'm trying to build my network. I'm trying to build a working collective of Nigerian people who I meet on LinkedIn that we can deliver services and help Nigerian companies. Every single one of them has at least four things that they do on their profile. I've started to say to them these days, my brother, stop. What do you actually do? You do content, you do data, you do this, you do that. I'm saying, which one do you actually do? What's your thing? What's your expertise? But they think because if they cover a wide range, if they come across as a jack of all trades, someone's going to want to employ them. But I'm saying it doesn't work like that. Choose one, get really good at it. Make yourself the expert at that. Make yourself, like you say, focus on that, and then those who need you will come to you. If you try and be everything to all men and women, no one's going to come to you because you don't know because you don't look you don't look like the right person for them. You look like someone else. You look like you don't know what you're doing yourself. It's such an important message for us to be sharing, and it's got to be said.
Thank you for that. Now, I want you to help me again because you are really very important here. because you have a lot of expertise in what we're talking about. You've been here for a long time. I'm looking at that, um, the process of us able to connect to our target audience,
Mm,
target customers. How do we do that? Tell me about the research. How do we, because now we are going to really focus on a segment of the audience.
yeah,
Everybody really cannot be our audience. Everybody cannot be our customer. It is not possible.
yeah,
But how do we really manage to pinpoint that specific audience that our content should supposed to be geared towards?
right. I love some tough questions. Look, it's about knowing your customer first of all. You need to know your customer, and when you say that, people think you mean I don't know, literally you might have a profile, you might have a list of who they are, but you have to think of a different level. You have to think that you have to you can recognize your customer when you walk past them on the street. You know who they are, you know what they look like, how old they are, what gender they are, what the profession is, where they spend time online, where they spend time offline, what they're interested in. So only by knowing your customer on the granular level, that can you begin. Once you know who they are on that sort of level, the task is where are they? Where do we find them? And then I come back to my point I made earlier. If you think you're just going to post on social media, or just post on YouTube and you're going to find your tribe, you might find your tribe, but you're not going to find your customers. People who like you, people who are like you, who can build a community on any platform. But if you want your customers, the ones who are actually going to put their hand in the wallet and get the bank card out and pay you, you're going to have to reach out to them actively. That's why I do what's called proactive marketing. Like I say, I fell out of love with the idea of just the internet will just create a fair world. It won't. Yeah, we're gonna have to grab fairness and our share. I can't say that enough. We're gonna have to spend money and effort and sweat and blood and tears to get what's ours. And the way we do that is by actively chasing those numbers of people to see us and know we exist, to see our content. So if you're going to post on Facebook, make sure you're posting ads. Because now the thing about ads, obviously, is that you can target who sees your ads. You can target, exactly who they are, where they are. You can target whether they are a parent or not a parent. You can target, you can even target what they've had for breakfast if you wanted to. So that's how you have to know your customers. Once you know them on that level, then you can really drill down and spend the money. It's going to cost money to reach them. On LinkedIn, you have slightly more leeway on LinkedIn, right? I wouldn't advise paying for LinkedIn ads for sure, because LinkedIn ads are about £5 a click. And unless you're guaranteed to make your money back, I wouldn't spend that sort of money. There's other ways to use LinkedIn. There's many other ways these days. I mean, your podcast is on YouTube, and on different platforms. There's a reason for that, because you can reach your audience much more easily. Now, for other people who want to reach the audiences, they're going to have to be everywhere. I'm not saying do every platform. I'm saying work out where your audience are, but then put your content there. And once you put your content there, make sure it's not passive. Make sure you're proactively promoting your content. If that means you have to put money behind it in terms of ads, then do so. That's the only way you're going to reach the numbers of people. So the other way that you might reach the people that you want to talk to is engaging with people. Yeah. So look, a lot of people on online, in every community, and I'm sure people in the African diaspora are probably worse than most, because they haven't got the confidence in this country, in the Western world. Engage with content. Don't just post and run. Please don't never post and run. You have to engage with people. The more you engage with people's content, the more they engage with you. If you know you're after, let's say your target audience is accountants, right? Then find accountants on LinkedIn because you can find people on LinkedIn by profession, industry, location, and job title, and even more. There's 30 criteria on LinkedIn you can find people by. You know, if you want to find out by company size, by experience, and so on and so forth. If you know you're looking for, you can find them on LinkedIn. And what you do, you search for them, and then you engage with the content. You know, when they post, like it and say something useful. Show them that you understand who they are. You understand what they're trying to say. You understand their needs, their problems. You know, if you do that often enough, eventually you get to a stage where they're looking and thinking, who's this person who's talking about all my posts? You know, how comes they always get it? And then starts a conversation with you. So every time you comment on someone's post, they have to respond to you. You know, a good person will respond to you anyway. They will, say thank you or I agree with you or something. You know, whereas if you make a meaningful comment on someone's post, especially on LinkedIn, they will see who you are. They're going to check out your profile. They see who's this person. And then starts the possibility of some sort of relationship, which then leads to a connection request, which then leads to a conversation of LinkedIn. You know, but all these things I'm talking about, it's not, you can't post and run, and it's not easy. It's not one or two. We're talking diligent, persistent, consistent. You know, and that's what it takes. You know, you have to. This is why people pay me, because they haven't got time to do what I do for them. You know, I mean, it's all right scrolling through Instagram, but you have to target your customers, engage with them, build a community of them, and engage some more. You know, and then they might come and buy from you one day if you're lucky. You know, I mean that sincerely. You know, it's hard work. You know, but it can be done. I believe it can be done. I really believe it can be done. That's why I'm sort of keen. If I made it my ambition to make a Nigerian company rich, because we can. You know, but it starts with making the average Nigerian company just get customers in Nigeria. You know, why aren't we getting customers from Nigeria around us? I don't understand why not. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. You know, I've got clients in America, I've got clients in Nigeria now, I've got clients in Uganda. I'm saying the internet can work for African companies as well. It must.
All right.
It must work.
That is a powerful one. I wanted to spend some time there. Of course, I want to ask you something about data. Maybe we are going to go beyond. We are going to go around there just now.
Okay.
Because you work a lot with Nigerian companies. Of course, both of us we are from Nigeria. There is no country we can love more than that. That is our home. We will also love the fact that a lot of Nigerian businesses and companies can tap more into the international businesses.
Yes.
Of course, if we remember the discussion of IBB at the time, how he got all into debt was the proposal of IMF that Nigerian economy should open up. If I want to open up, let's enter into the market. Let also benefit from it. Let also be a dominant player in the market.
Yes.
But now come the question of mindset. Because if businesses, if managers in Nigerian company are not investing a lot in the internet, even though we are living in the internet age, it means something is missing there. What do we need to help them understand that it is an opportunity for them to be able to connect in the world, to teach people about it, so that their business should really be there?
It's like you say, it's a mindset thing, and a mindset essentially is about what's in your head. It's what you see in your heart and what you believe in. That's what mindset is, right? It's either you can either believe it's black or you can believe it's white. You can either believe you can and you will, or you can believe you can't and you won't. Either way, you're right. And it comes down to that, really. Because if you believe you can, then you would do whatever it takes to make it happen. So the reason you and I are here because we believe we can. So we're doing it. And with that, that's surely the foundation for success. Whereas if you don't believe you can, then you don't aim for it. Number one, you don't tell yourself you can. You don't see it in your soul. You don't envision. There's a saying in mindset that what you see in your mind, you can make a reality. If you never see it in your mind, then you're never going to make it reality. And it's a lot of people think when you say such words, when I say such words, I mean sit there, dream, and it's gonna come to you. It's not. It really isn't. What I'm trying to get you to realize that mindset is not just thinking, but it starts with thinking though. If you never think it, it will never happen. But once you think it, it's what do I need to do to make it happen? And progressively, you realize that you're going to have to do more and more and more and more. Create more content, reach more people, improve my product, improve my service, and write a book, make myself more famous, meet the right people. Are you with me? This you have to. It's you create momentum when you have the right mindset. And along the journey, you're gonna have to learn what works and what doesn't work. Not everything's going to work. It really isn't. Something is going to be a total flop, but at least you've learned something.
Mm-hmm.
And then you don't do that again. But as you learn something, you're nearer to your goal. And then that's how you succeed in the end. This is not going to be easy. I mean, they say that the market is so skewed against the small man who has no history, no reputation, no brand awareness. It's a mountain to climb to get ourselves there. I think my question is, if it's not you, then who's it going to be?
I like that. All right, this takes me to the data question.
Yeah,
no, either both of us we are from ASA, no.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is not happening only in ASA, in the whole of Nigeria, and quite generally, I think it's a question of the mindset that we have as Africans, not creating enough data about our existence, about us. Now, in the ordinary sense of it, it might appear that it doesn't it's not necessary, but it is very necessary. That at the end of your life, can somebody pick up a book and read about you? After you have spent, 70 years existing in this world, where do you leave your memory? Can I just go to internet now and type the school I went to? Can I have the website? Doesn't exist. It means that all the years I have spent there is no record of me. They only have it in carton, in paper, which probably have been soaked with water. Therefore, all that memory are gone. So people who do not understand business and the business of data, it doesn't have any use. Why should you even be spending money doing that? But I think that is an error. Because how are we going to be able to connect now? How many people were living in Uromi like 50 years ago? How many of them were sick of a particular sickness? How did we manage to cure them? What medicine was given to them? If we don't know, it means that anytime we want to find out about that, we will start from zero. Every year we are going to start from zero.
Yeah.
But if we know and keep a record of it, we will never start from zero. We will always start from the highest of that digit. So the question is, do we really have data? What do we need to be able to create data? Because without data, the businesses in Africa and in Nigeria in a specific case, we always find it difficult. Because who are your audience? How do you know what they want? Apart from the traditional sense of, okay, I walk to you, I talk to you. But we are living in the internet age. I want the goods that I produce in Uromi to get to Lagos. And how do I know that this is actually what the people in Lagos need? How much data do I have? I want you to speak to me about that.
Data is super important. And, I guess there's many ways of looking at it. Here's the first one. What you're doing, what I'm doing is laying the foundation, right? Data is useful, yes, for us to use to reach more people. But I think the point you're making is that keeping a track record and having a history online, a digital path that we've trodden, is so important for the next generation. It's because they're the ones who are going to have to follow our path. And we don't, like you say, we don't want them starting from zero because there's no need. We've been there already. We've learned what we're going to learn. And by doing what you're doing, by doing what I'm doing, we're laying the foundations. That way they will learn from, they'll see us. Because once you create that content, as you know, it's there forever. It's never going to leave. It's never going to leave the internet. Maybe they can't find you. Maybe not on the front page of YouTube, but you're going to be online and findable forever. I say this because my granddad's hospital. When I looked one day and I was like, wow, Zimmer Memorial Hospital really is on Google. And it's on YouTube. I watched videos for where I grew up as a kid. I was amazed. Someone put that content there. And that's part of our responsibility to put that data there, right? And once it's there, it will be there. It helps that we try and show our community, in the true light, right? I'm going to have to go soon, by the way. So, and look, in terms of the data to sell, we need to talk to people. We need to who consumes your content. It's not rocket science. It's a case of talking to a few of them and then seeing what the similarities are. What makes these people a group. So you have people who download your podcast, for example, right? What's the common theme between them? Is it age? Is it location? Is it industry? Are you with me? That's how we all need to work. That's how we all need to then look at that data to create a profile of the customers who care about what we do and who engage with us. It can well be that people engaging with you are not your ideal customers. I had one this morning that said before I came on this call, right? So I was talking to someone, in Kenya, and he said to me, "Look, I get all my." He's an e-doctor, right? He said, "No, so I don't know what's gone wrong. Some days I get 3 sales, other days I get 5, other days I get none, right?" I'm saying, right, okay, where's the traffic coming from? Who are they? It gets traffic from Twitter and from Instagram. That's where I learned that Facebook doesn't work in that country, right? So, he said, basically 10% of the visitors, convert. And there's 10 of this, let me say that properly. 10 visitors a day will engage and potentially convert, whereas 100 visitors a day would never, they don't engage and never convert. I'm saying to him, look, my friend, you are talking to the wrong people because the math should be the other way around. 100 will convert and 10 won't. 10 being irrelevant and 100 being relevant targeted people. That's just it's a game of maths. If they're not engaging, then they're not your target audience. The way you're gonna know is by just looking at the data and finding the commonality amongst people. There's no other way. You can easily survey your listeners, you can survey your website visitors, you can survey your Facebook followers. As long as you've got the right target audience engaging with you already, then you can begin to see the theme in who they are. If you've got customers, my friend, please have a look at your customers. Every customer you have, the whole point is that you're going to have a record of them, who they are, what they bought, how much they spent. We tend to put that in a CRM these days in this part of the world, in the Western world. But every company has to keep that sort of data because how are you going to know otherwise? We need to collect. It's our duty to collect that data and make sense of it.
Mm-hmm.
There's tools out there. Use the tools out there. If anyone talks to your business, get their data, get their information, get their name, get their email. You're halfway there because then you can talk to them in a follow up, and then begin to work out how do I get more of that person, how do I get more of them. I think it's all about reach and visibility. The more people get to see your content, the more they can engage with it. I say reach, is how many people actually it goes to. Visibility is more about how high up you are in terms of their visual field, call it that. So if you think of something like LinkedIn, you might be on someone's feed. Same as Facebook, same as Twitter, right? You might be on someone's feed. You might be on someone's news feed, right? But in reality, the chance of you being seen if you are way down is very little. This is the quirk of the internet. That's why I say they promise us, fairness and democracy on the internet, fairness for everyone. Everyone can compete. But the truth is, a lot of people pay and do other things to become visible, to rise up, to be the first one we see on a newsfeed. That's the one we engage with. The first three we see is what we engage with. So it's about making sure that you're visible, that they can see you. I'm not going to talk about the quality of content because if your network like your content, they'll engage with it. But if they never see your content, they can never engage with it. If they don't engage with your content, then they can't know what you're doing to be interested in potentially doing business with you. So a lot of it is about, like I say, do what it takes to get seen, number one. And sometimes it's not just, it's not money. And when they engage with you, have a way to engage them and then to turn them in from just people who saw you to people who are actually in your funnel. So you have to find. When I say that, let me try and give you an example. A lot of people have websites, right? And they think that when I consider we're sold that the fact the website is there, if you have a website, they'll come to you and they'll buy. It doesn't happen like that. That's just not true. It's not true. There's millions of websites. There are millions. Again, it goes back to my thing just now about visibility and reach. There's websites out there, but no one's looking at yours. They can't find you. They really, really can't. Even on YouTube, they can't find you unless they're looking. This is our dilemma. This is the problem we all have, all businesses, and it's how do we change this equation? You change it by doing the right things to be visible, to be featured higher up on the platforms you're on. On Facebook, it means paying for ads. On LinkedIn, you can pay for ads, obviously, or you can use other ways that LinkedIn gives you. LinkedIn gives you many methods to connect to your target audience, which works if you're B2B. Instagram, I guess, it's another platform to think about because there are people on there. And again, it's about using the platform properly. So, if I had to give someone advice to the potential client, first I would say to them, look, engage. Don't post and run. A lot of people think it's about their content. It's about their content. It's not about your content. It's about what the platform's willing to give you to make you visible, right? The way the platform would love you and show you to people is if you engage, you spend time there. Like other people's posts, make comments on their posts. That gives you credits that builds up slowly but surely. And one, it gets you in front of the people who you're commenting on and engaging with. And two, the platform rewards you for the time that you spend on there by showing your content to more people. That formula works on Facebook. It works on LinkedIn. It works on Instagram. It actually works on Twitter as well. A lot of people say to me, "How do I? No one's liking my content." I'm like, no one's seeing your content. How much are you seeing of other people's content? None. I'm saying, there you go. It's as simple as that, really. Engage first of all, and they will engage back with you. And then use the other methods that are out there. Sometimes it's ads, other times it's use the tools. Use the lives. The lives are there for a reason. If you have an event, if you go to a live or an audio event like on LinkedIn, on Facebook, which on Instagram as well, a lot more people will see you because they can. If you never show yourself, if you never do anything beyond just posting, they'll never see you.
Now, a kind of a curiosity, Because I know you, in a couple of the answer that you have given, you have stressed the need of sometime pay for ads.
Mm.
So I want you to help me understand Are you more into ads, or do you also recommend organic content? What is the difference between the two for somebody that is listening to us just now?
Right. Organic is dead. That's the first thing to say. If anything you take away from what I said all now in all this time, organic is dead. It's like selling someone a dead duck, right? Organic means that you post your content and you hope that people find it organically free. That's what organic really is. And the word free, it doesn't work anymore. If you want to know why it doesn't work, I'll give you a simple explanation. Right. So I mentioned that when I started on the internet, there were 5,000 companies on the web, right? In the UK anyway, 5,000 companies. It was easy for Google to basically say, right, you're looking for, a podcast on business. These people do podcasts on business, so we will show them. It's easy to list from 5,000 where you can pick the top 10, the top 20, because not everyone's doing the same thing. So now fast forward to where we are today. Google has to pick from billions of websites. Billions. How do you rank the top 10 out of billions? And bear in mind that Google is only giving you effectively 7 spaces on page 1 of search results. The rest is a local pack, the rest are ads. Now, 7 has been generous. I'm saying that you'll probably get 5 places to rank on the first page of any search results. So if you rely on just having a website that's going to rank organically, you're barking up the wrong tree. It's not going to happen. Because you have to get ahead of everyone else on the planet. How's that going to happen? It's not. You can move the same problem to social media. How am I going to rank organically how am I going to be seen organically on Facebook? Again, how many people on Facebook? Billions. Billions, literally billions. So how's Facebook going to show you this person's profile, this person's post amongst all the other billions? It's impossible. This is a problem that I've seen for years, but other people don't want to mention. I'm saying that literally, you're never going to get seen by anyone. Mix the fact that the platforms want you to pay for ads to show you, right? If you just go organic, they have no interest in showing you, because other people are paying for ads to get seen above you. Never mind those who have got seen above you because they have better content than you, more relevant content, more useful content. Organic is genuinely dead. It's a failure of the internet, it's a failure of the technology. They didn't think hard enough how they're going to work when they've got billions of people on every platform. And that's where we are.
The other day, I think a couple of days ago, actually, I was researching online, trying to find out how many people are on the internet now. And of course, as we are moving out of 2022 to 2023, we are moving, I think, to 5 billion. If we are not clock 5 billion people on the internet now, which means internet actually become, I want to use the word again, it's sort of a leveler, but we need to know what we are doing.
Yes.
Because everybody is on it now. So what are you going to do? One thing I was actually sort of worried about a couple of years ago, I was having people contacting me from different places. So people that were contacting me from Asia, either from Pakistan, from India, they would propose to do something for me in terms of maybe do marketing for me for my product, or supply me. But there was something contrary to that I was also having. People were also reaching me from Africa, among Africans. But guess what they were telling me? That they would pray for me, they will connect me to their pastor. Do you need prayer, something like that? So what I'm actually getting at here is that they say internet, all of us are here. But what do we spend the time doing?
Mm.
Is it only people in the US that can benefit from the internet? Can people somewhere in Uromi also benefit from internet? So that I'm sort of looking at it like a kind of a big opportunity that we need to tap into. You're already there. You can't say you are not there. But what do you do on it? I don't know if you want to say anything there.
Look, you are so right. You've made my day, because this is the point I'm trying to make to people. Wishing is not going to get you there. Wishing is not going to help you sell more. And praying is not going to help you sell more either, by the way. It's just not. You can't pray your way to get seen on Google or on Facebook. It's not going to work. It's just not. I'm not saying don't have faith. You need a different sort of faith, right? The faith you need is more about the mindset for success. You need faith in your products and services. If believing in God helps you, okay, by all means, if you want to pray, you do that. You just make sure that you're doing the right things, and you have the belief that your products and services can help other people. As someone who does podcasting, for example, that you're going to give people a voice. And every podcast you do, people are going to watch it and they're going to learn something from it. That's faith. That's faith you need. And with that, you push your service more. There's many people who give a poor service. And there's a strange way, where I think the universe knows when you're not ready, when you're not doing what you say you do. Do you know there's certain groups of people that almost are guaranteed to fail online, almost guaranteed to fail, whatever you do. And it's a weird thing to say. It's a weird thing to say. When you're not ready to sell, the universe knows, and the universe will not bless you with what you need to make people feel silly or look stupid. If you're not ready to sell, you're not going to get seen. If you're not ready to sell, then your social media is not going to get engagement. It's a strange, it's very weird. If you're bad-minded, you're not going to get seen. Whereas when you are ready, you have to do the right things. I mentioned engaging, number one. If the faith you want is that you believe in so much about what you're doing and how you can help people, because that's the essence of business, by the way. A lot of people miss that point. They want to sell, sell, sell. It's not about selling. It's about helping people, whatever you provide, right? If you're genuinely minded about helping people, then you communicate that with a lot more vibrancy, a lot more. Also, I'm looking for the word I'm looking for. A lot more intent and intentionality, a lot more confidence. You push it more, and then and what you do is that you push it in one place. You push it on Facebook, for example. It doesn't work. And because you are so determined, because you know that what you're offering is a solution, you find another way to push it. Do I push it by email? Do I push it on Google? Are you with me? You find a way to push it out there. And then once you get to each platform, you then have to learn how it works to make sure the right people see your content or your product or your service. And that's a faith you need. The praying thing, please. Don't, someone's selling you prayer, just run the other way. Tell them to go the other way. Just tell them to go away. I mean that sincerely. You need science, you need faith, you need a mindset for success, and you need something that people need. With those things, you'll find a solution in the end. It's the last thing I'll say on this point is this. A lot of people say, "Oh, that didn't work. That didn't work." And I did Facebook, it didn't work. I did Twitter, it didn't work. It's not about the platforms working for you. In business, things work, but maybe not always the way you want. One of the biggest lessons that people ignore to learn every day is what is not working. What's the wrong place to be? What's the wrong strategy? That is a platform working when you learn that lesson. Don't be on Facebook just posting organically. Facebook works because you learned that lesson. Don't send your emails to no one or to everyone. That's email working and teaching you a lesson. If you're going to run dumb ads on Google that are not done properly and have no decent landing page, your lesson is make sure you have a seamless, you know, load of content from what you produce to how you market it, to the landing page, to the ad, to your delivery process. These are lessons that we learn by doing. Many people never learn those lessons and they run the other way and say it didn't work. Everything works. It's what has it worked to teach you? How's it worked for you? That's a simple way of looking at it.
Thank you so much, dear Eny. I really appreciate that. I really do. I believe, like you said, the universe is there, ready to respond to you. But what are you asking for?
Yeah.
Like the guys that are calling me from Nigeria, telling me they want to pray for me, but I'm not interested. You see, I'm not interested. I would rather give my money to the other guy who want to help me. I have done that continuously because I have a couple of things that I'm doing. I have different blogs that I'm creating content for. Of course, I cannot do all of that myself. I cannot put prayer inside that blog, for example. How am I going to do it? I need somebody who is going to sit down and craft the content and send to me. Then I will pay the person. That is the exchange. That is the trade I'm ready to do with the universe. And I'm going to get result for it. If I fail, I will try again and again until I get the result because I know there is result there.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm trying to. That's exactly, you've got me totally. The person who decides they're going to shortcut the content creation process, for example, they will fail and they wonder why they fail. And I say the universe just knows that it's not good content. It's not really it's not helping anyone. And the universe will conspire against you. Whereas if you create great content that's useful, the universe knows. It just knows. So I say universe. Some people say they say God, but that's up to them. And I'm not going to say I've learned not to bash Africans and especially Nigerians for being religious. I think the sooner we can all accept personal responsibility and that what we do it's mostly what we do and what we think, the better results we'll achieve. Yeah, but if you feel better believing in God, okay, fine. Good on you.
That's it. Everybody is free to do whatever because this is your life anyway. You do whatever you like with it. You can use it to blame other people. You can use it to work on yourself. The choice is yours. But whatever you do, you are going to get the reward for it.
Yes.
The universe doesn't play partiality with anybody. You get what you put in it.
Yeah.
Talking of that, I want to ask you something relating to the tool set. What do we need to be able to succeed in our content creation? Because now you are going to create content, but you are not going to create it in your head. What do we need in terms of the physical resources that we need to be able to put what we have in our head out there to serve people so that they can pay us? Tell me about the tool set.
All right. I suppose there's always the question why, right? I think that's where everything's just you should start whatever you're doing, whatever you're making, whatever you're selling. Why am I doing this? Invariably your why will focus on what your customers need. I have people ask me every day, how do I say this? How do I say that? I'm saying, ask your customers, understand, at least understand what they want you to speak about. What's the problem they want you to solve for them? And that comes down to the why. Why are you doing it? Why you're doing it because to help your customers primarily, and then what do your customers need? Now, once unless you know what your customers want and need, there's still a world, my friend. You can still create content and hope for the best. Some content they might not even know they need, right? They might enjoy it. There's a benefit to that, right? Whereas there's content that is meant to help them that you want them to pay for, especially. You see, so I suppose you gate that and you put a price on it. But and when the reason they pay for something is because they can see a value in it. They can see it's going to help them to do something. So you can create your content according to what your customers need. And then from once you know what they want and what you want to create content about, it's a process, I guess. There's many tools that you can use. If we're talking written content, obviously, you need a way to do some research. You need a way to, not just create spammy content. This spammy content is the worst thing ever. And people do it every day. And now we're just about to head into the world of AI, where AI can write blogs for you, for example. Everyone thinks it's an easy way to write blogs because now you just enter your questions to ChatGPT or PT, what they call themselves, right? And they write the blog for you. It's great, except the content is very, it's got no nuances, and the word is very nuanced. The words is full of if this and then that sort of way of thinking. A lot of good content is based on experience, real experience, humans speaking about their experiences and sharing what they've learned and how they've gone about things. So I'm saying that if you can factor all those things into your content, you're halfway there. And if you just choose a cheap, I'll just write spammy content full of keywords because they rank on Google, it's not going to get you anywhere. Because now Google is well aware of of rubbish content, and they will punish you for it. But in terms of the tools, it's to say a lot of it is in your mind. It's in your mind to start off with. Your mindset. If it's to help customers, you are going to be closer to doing something good. So start there. The process is what it is. If you know better than me about how to create video content. I'm saying that, but that's just a set of tools you need. And if you need tools, then get what you need, pay for them. Sometimes not everything's free. And obviously check in to make sure your content is accurate, is useful, is what you intended, what the customer needs. That's all part of the process. That's the best answer I can give you in terms of creating content. I create content every day. I create loads of content. And I have tools. Some of them, it's just it's more there's more me making sure I'm comprehensive. Like this podcast, for example. I try and give you full answers rather than just give you sound bites. I don't think I've tried to sell to you yet at all. It's because that's not my goal to help people by being with you. So if that's your intent, then normally you achieve more. But that's the main tools I would say you need.
I'm also interested on something else that you already have made mention of a number of times, which is SEO, getting your work to be found there. Because if you just create it haphazardly without intentionality, without be precise of what you want to achieve with your content, it's going to haphazardly be there. There is no pattern around it. If you are going to be sure that you know what you are doing, you are going to make use of certain tools. So I want you to tell me about the role of SEO in content creation.
Yeah, again, this is one of those. It's a critical thing. You need SEO in your content creation. Obviously, because the problem you have is that Google has to put your content above all others to show your content. Like I mentioned earlier, it's a challenge given numbers of people writing content, right? So you're not competing against one person who's writing about what you're writing about. You're competing against thousands, sometimes millions, right? And the fact that there's tools, there's machines, there's AI that can essentially scour the internet. They can find which content exists. They can work out which headlines, which titles people click on, and they can work out which keywords will help you rank for that content. So you're competing against machines essentially on one end, and geniuses on another end. The geniuses combine the human abilities with the machine intelligence. Don't think you're playing a simple game. This is the internet. This is a global marketplace. You're competing against, big people and big things. So SEO, is such a complex web. It's such a complex web. I remember, when I was growing up, you have to, SEO was keywords, like I just said, titles. You had to have the right H2 headings, that second heading, third heading, and even more subheadings along the way. And you have to have the right description. Right. We've moved on from all that, by the way. We've moved on a long way. Now, and I say the problem with SEO today is that what was working yesterday is not going to work today. It's not going to work tomorrow either. Google now tells you very clearly, write useful content. Whatever you do, write useful content. In other words, write, like I just said, about what your customers want to know, what will engage them. Because people make the mistake of writing for Google, and Google doesn't read any of your articles. They don't really care. All they want to do is just show the people who are searching what they're looking for, what's going to help them. In Google's world, all they want they want me to come onto Google, do a search for, okay, where do I buy, the best basket, for example. And Google says, right, go to this place, this website. It could be in Nigeria, it could be in England, it could be in America. And when I go there, I'm like, oh, okay, I see what I want. It's perfect. Here's my card. Are you with me? Bought, everyone's happy. What Google doesn't want is when they recommend someone, when they show you a result, you go to the page, you look at it, and you go, and you run away. You click, you click close very quickly. You run off somewhere else and then search again. And then eventually you get annoyed, then you go to another, then you go to Bing. It is a separate search platform. That's what Google really hates, right? So it's how do you create the content that people want, that will make them stick on, that will make the people who find those pages stick there and give Google credit. Because then they come back to Google next time and goes, I'm looking for something else. Where am I going to go? Google, obviously, because then once you go back to Google, you see ads. That's the whole point. This is the game we're all playing. Google wins because they show you more ads. You might click on one or two, maybe you won't. If you click on them, it costs the company money. Google makes money. Whether you buy or not doesn't really matter. But Google cares if they show you dumb results that you don't engage with. SEO used to be about creating, using keywords and hammering your content to get to the top of the page. Now it's more about quality. I'm not saying there's no place for, doing your keyword research. Now I'm tempted to do keyword research. I'm tempted to do headline research. I do a vague amount of headline research to see what titles are out there. There's tools, like you mentioned tools earlier, right? There's a tool that I use to see what people are searching for on Google. It gives me a rough idea of the topic, of what they're searching for on each topic. I use those. What I won't do is write my content according to a keyword structure, because I want to tell you my story. I want to tell you what I want to tell you. Does that make sense? I want to tell you what I think the answer is, not based on keywords. And I want to tell you my version of the truth, same as I'm doing now. And then if you find value in it, great. If you don't find value in it, okay, move on. But at least you would know from my content, you will learn something. If you use that as your preferred method, then there's a place for it. There's people who do keyword now, who do SEO. I was talking to one this morning, one of my friends who does SEO. They're very good at what they do. Very good. Does that mean that you're going to sell more? Possibly. There's no guarantee. It's I would love to say SEO is everything, but but with that SEO, you're gonna get seen a lot less. I'll say that much. But SEO doesn't mean you're gonna win the market. You need to understand how the search engines work to get seen by more people. But the trick really is engagement. If people like your content and go to your website and they stick on there, you're a winner. Google will send more people to your website. If people are clicking on your content from Facebook, from LinkedIn, Google thinks that content's great. So the SEO part is useful, but Don't obsess over SEO. As long as you've got basic structure and some relevant keywords, you're halfway there. If you employ an expert, you can do. They can add some value, but they're not gonna make junk good. That's a simple way. That's what I'm trying to say in a long way, really.
Thank you for that. All right. Now, I wanted to help me with something else, of course, in line with what we are discussing, which is strategy. I sort of tend to say it often that strategy actually is everything.
Yes.
That you are here trying to create content to help people, but if that is all you are doing, that is all what you have in mind to do, where you are just a hobbyist.
Mm.
You are going to understand that this is a business. You need something in return at the end of the day. Otherwise, you are going to be working for somebody,
Yes.
taking that money, and then spending your time for something you are not going to going to get return from. Of course, you can still do that. Nobody is actually saying you cannot do that. But within the framework from where we are talking, we're looking at the possibility where a lot of people of African descent can also make money from content creation. So it means there have to be a good thought around it. It cannot just be random. You must have strategy. So help me understand that.
Wow. Again, this is gold dust, right? Because I don't get to talk about this too often, but the way you just described it is exactly how it is. Let me try and elaborate. Strategy is everything. I meet people every day and they have no strategy. They have no plan, which is just, it's crazy. But that's, if you're, like you say, if you're a hobbyist, okay, great, just have fun. But even that's a strategy. Are you with me? At least your strategy is to have fun. At least then you can have more fun because that's your aim. If you say nothing at all, and the people who just like doing, they love doing, and they just do, aimless. There's people who, they just want money. They just want to make money today, which is fine. Like you say, it's fine, perfectly fine. The problem is that everyone else wants to make money. Everyone else wants to have fun, right? The people who have fun and make money consistently, it's making that money consistently that matters, by the way. Those people have a strategy. They have a clear plan in their head, at least, and on paper. And see, when you say strategy, a lot of people go, "Oh, I don't need that. I need a content plan. I need a marketing plan." What's the point of a plan if you have no overall vision of where you're going? Are you with me? The whole point of strategy is you have an overall guiding light. You're heading for that goal. That's why you're doing what you're doing today. And then your strategy breaks down into your plans for different parts of your business. So eventually, your strategy breaks down, your business strategy breaks down into your departmental action plans, which then breaks down into your marketing plan. One of those is going to there's also a production plan, which will then determine your content plan, if you think of it that way. Everything starts from your strategy. Your strategy is simply this overall, it's a statement about where you want to go, where you see yourself. So whilst you can make money, you need to say, are you here to be just another content provider? Are you here to be just another business doing what you do? Or are you here to be a business that succeeds and makes money? The answer to that question is the first part of creating your strategy. Once you know what you're trying to achieve, and I don't just say no. I say no because a lot of people are scared. A lot of people they're not confident. They're nervous. They have a limited mindset. They think, "Oh, little old me in Nigeria, what can I achieve really? If I just make some money, I'm doing fine." But you have to think to yourself, every company started with just one person. Everyone. Mercedes, Ford, McDonald's, every company that you buy from, that I buy from, and Apple was one person. Amazon was the Bezos in his garage, but they had the strategy for growth, for income. So when you think of it that way, you realize that your strategy is a chance for you to dream. Literally, dare to dream. What can this company, where can I take this business of mine? How great can we be? How many customers can we serve? What are we going to do for them? What do I want to be known for? These are all part of your strategy. These are all part of your strategy. Where you basically, you dare to say to yourself, you know what? I want my food shop on every high street in the world. That's called McDonald's. That's called Kentucky Fried Chicken to us in the UK, right? Wendy's in America. I could name many more. I'm saying a lot of people I talk to, they have this limited mindset that, oh, I can only have one shop. I can only have one me. No, you can be a global. You can win the market with the right strategy. If you say to yourself, I want to be the number one in what I do in the world, then obviously, like I said, you have to then create a plan to achieve that goal. But without the vision, you're never going to achieve that goal because you're not even trying to get there. Having the strategy and having the vision is so important. When I said that, I'm sure along our chat, I've said to you, I want a client on every platform and every continent. That's a strategy. It's a plan that I've made. I want to make a company rich on every platform and every single continent. That way, I can achieve my status as one of the world's best marketers there ever has been, and make myself highly rich in the process. I can't make you £1 million and in Nigeria and not make myself £1 million in this country. Are you with me? That's why I look at that strategy. But I'll come back to my point. It all starts with a vision of how you're going to help your customers. Who am I going to help? How am I going to help them? And look, I suppose whilst I focus on the vision, I think that's a beautiful part. I really think that's the part that inspires you. Part of creating your strategy, this vision, how you're going to help your customers more, better, and differently to everyone else in the market, is that you need to understand your environment. You need to understand the market. You need to understand, where you're operating. You see, a lot of people go into business and they think of just themselves. They think, oh, okay, I write content. Okay, great. Who else writes content? And what are you doing that's different to what they're doing? What are you doing better than what they're doing? You see, without understanding your competitors, you're not going to necessarily have that vision to do better than them. And unless you have a plan to do better than everyone else in the market, in terms of sales, I say these words very carefully, by the way. It's about serving your customers primarily better than everyone else ever has. Once you have that sort of strategy, you're halfway there. You need to understand your customers' needs, number one, do a market analysis. What do my customers actually want? What's missing from what they're getting from the competitors? What are the competitors good at now? How are they winning at the moment? And how am I going to get above them? And then obviously you need to look at, what I call what you have within you. Like what's my expertise? What's my resources? What's my budget? What's my assets? What makes me special, in other words. And also you also need to understand what's around you, what's coming, in terms of your competition. Obviously, you need to understand them, like I mentioned earlier. We also need to understand where's the gaps in the market. What can I do better, differently, and generally, win this market? People are going to come to me when I can do that. And obviously, you need to understand what the threats are. A lot of people they don't sort of want to consider what's coming down the line. What could destroy your customers' needs the way you see them? To give you an example, 3 years ago, if you ask anyone, what's the biggest problem coming, they'll be like, I don't know, And suddenly, COVID came, right? Everything suddenly went online, right? I'm saying like, here's the point though. A lot of people, a lot of us had heard of the potential of a pandemic long before COVID came. We just never took it seriously, and we did nothing about it at all. It was in your strategy planning or analysis, at least, you have to consider every worst case scenario. People tend to look at political, social, economical, technology changes. Obviously, now you're going to have to add the global warming problem and the environmental problem and legal issues in whatever part of the world you're in. If you consider those and say, right, what could go wrong that's going to ruin my business? What could go right? That could open opportunities. These all feed into your strategy for your business. And in your strategy, you can have a vision of we're going to try and get there by doing this, and here's what we're going to have to help us along the way. That is what builds a business. Without a strategy, essentially, all you're doing is say, right, I'm going left, I'm going left, I'm going left, I'm going left. Are you there yet? I don't know. I'm still going left. Where's left? Left. Yeah, it sounds silly, but that's what people do essentially in business. I'm going west. I'm just going west. I'm just going west. Are you there yet? No, I don't know. How do I know when to get there? I'm just going west. Because you have no goal. You have no destination. You're just going west. It's ridiculous. Well, people do it every day, my friend. They do it every day. And they wonder why they fail. It's crazy. It's crazy. But it's the world we live in.
Thank you so much for that. I've got a few questions to ask you, but I can guarantee that
Please feel free.
we certainly will need to come back for it because your point are so important. There are a lot of value here. In fact, the right word is value. Because if you don't have a target, if you don't aim for anything, how on earth are you going to know that you get that thing? It is not even possible. It doesn't enter into your consciousness because you are not looking for, it's just like you are a man who is looking for a wife. Okay, no, you are not looking for a wife actually. You are a man who think maybe you should have a wife, but you don't have any particular woman in mind. Then even a woman can be your best fit.
Yeah, well, it's a man who says, I want a partner. Anything can be your partner. Anything. I don't know. It sounds, but I'm saying that's what happens when you don't define what you want. I agree entirely.
All right, Eny, you do a lot of work around marketing, and I want to believe that small businesses are sort of the target that within your niche. Now, let me provoke you like this. Why do small businesses need marketing?
Right. Oh, that's just a corker. Right. I love your questions because they make me think. Again, it sounds obvious to me. It's how do I explain it? That's what I love about your questions. Okay, so when a client comes to me, the first thing I do is talk about the things we talked about so far, but many of them. What's your strategy? Number one. That's the first thing we'll talk about. And literally, I haven't, and I probably met one or two in 7 years who've actually got something written down. The others just don't. And they don't understand the value. So I try and get them to understand that, if you have a strategy, then, like I said earlier, you can work out your departmental plans. If you know where you're going as a business, I can then see where marketing needs to help you to get to. Without a strategy, you're just asking me to do marketing in a vacuum. And like I say, you never know whether I'm doing well or not. The chances are, without a strategy and a plan, you're never going to be happy because you think on what you think on the day. Whereas I'd rather work to know that if let's say let's go back to our content example. If you write content, you say to me, right, Eny, you're doing my LinkedIn ads, my Facebook ads, my Google ads, and there's traffic to my website, but they're not converting. Then we can at least look at your strategy and say, right, the first step was get people to come to the website. I'm doing that. And then, sorry, my dogs are barking. They were trying to get involved. Anyway, and so the next question you ask yourself is, okay, how do we make them convert more? Whereas if nothing's written down, then we don't know where we're going. Like we just said, you don't know, you never know whether you're going to get there. And I don't like that because it means eventually you're going to start paying me based on how you wake up in the morning. I really don't like that. And so let's go on to the second part why you need marketing. A lot of businesses don't sort of realize that the mindset is everything. Again, we talked about this about 10 minutes ago, right? Don't come to me with a not ready product or service because nothing I do is going to save you and make it sell. In this country, in the UK, we have a term for it, right? You can't polish a turd. If you understand that, you can't polish poo because it's still be poo, whatever you do with it, right? So don't come to me when it's not ready. Don't ask me to sell something that people don't want or need or that can't help them. Like we talked about in detail, the universe knows you're not ready. They know what you're selling is junk, and nothing I can do. So maybe this is probably the first one I should have made from the beginning to answer your question, but I know why I left it at number 3. Look, without customers as a business, you're going nowhere. If you don't sell, the only place you're going is bankrupt, poor, and closed. So marketing is the first, the second, and the third thing you need to make your business work. I say that sincerely. That's why I'm in marketing, because I genuinely believe I can make a big difference to small businesses who need this right support to sell. Because without me, you're going nowhere. You really are literally sunk. You can try and do marketing yourself. Of course you can. Bootstrap your marketing if you want. But the issue with that is that unless you know what you're doing, it's gonna take you longer to do it yourself. And whilst you're doing it yourself, guess what? You can't do your work. You can't do what you enjoy. You can't do what you're good at because you're doing what I'm good at. So like I say, you can do it yourself, but literally, unless people know you exist and they know how you can help them, in other words, that's what marketing does, they can't buy from you. You need marketing because it's everything in your business, everything. I'm sure other people in business will say the same thing. They're accountant, but they're useful for what they're useful for. But marketing is what helps you sell. If you don't sell, you're done.
Thank you for that. That is very important. And like I said before, we're going to come back again because there is a lot of things to talk about within this area: marketing, sales, content creation, and particularly the audience that you have made mention of, which is that you work with Nigeria businesses. We can never finish to talk about that. That is so important. So, of course, we are not going to do everything in one show.
Yeah.
So now, how can people find you, Eny? I want you to let them know how to find you. Use this few seconds to promote yourself. You deserve it.
I don't like promoting myself, but the marketers are the worst people that are selling themselves. Look, I have a website. That's probably the best way that you see what I do. Even though I keep it very simple. So my website is https and then global, so GLOBAL, and then DOT media.com. So https global.media.com. Go on there. There's an inquiry form at the bottom if you want to have a chat. Just fill in the form. There's also a form near the top, so you can download a guide, and I'll get your email that way. Beyond that, I guess I have my own podcast, which is more like an audio blog. So if you want to go to any platform that does podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, then I look for the learning. That's learning like a LinkedIn. So I'd learn IN with Eny Osung, and you'll find me on any platform. I'm also on LinkedIn. So you just look for Eny Osung, that's ENYOSUNG. You find me on LinkedIn. That's on there. I do an audio room. So if you ever want to come to an audio event, let me know. I have an email address, which is eny@global.media.com. I'm everywhere, and almost all my profiles, my business pages are global.media.com. I'm on YouTube as well. On Instagram the same, Twitter the same. So you find me quite easily. But I try and make it simple. I try and make it as simple as I can. So the last I'll say is I do have a mobile app, which is the global.media app. You find it on Play Store and on iTunes. So I'm literally everywhere. Again, the reason I say all that is because when you asked me a while ago, what do you need to be doing? Damn, you need to be everywhere. You need to be in the right places where your customers are. So it's not all going to work for you. And there's many things. There's places I waste time. Don't get me wrong. We all do, but I know I'm just enjoying myself there. Whereas there are things that you have to do more than just organic passive marketing, which I think never works. Like, it can't work because the maths don't add up.
All right. Thank you so much for that. I like the way you conclude that part. All right. Now I want you to conclude the conversation in your own way. Maybe it's a message you want to leave with the people. Maybe you want to reinforce a line that you feel is important, or maybe there is something you wanted to say I did not ask you. I wanted to use this few seconds to conclude the conversation in your own way. Please go.
It's been a brilliant, a brilliant interview. I love something that makes me think. So I thank you for that. Most things were covered. I guess the thing I would like to leave people with is that we can be whatever we want to be. If we can dream it, you can make it reality. With the right strategy and with the right plan and hard work. And wherever you are in the world, the internet makes that possible. The question for you is: are you willing? Are you able? And then what do you need? That's where people like you and me come into it. If you're willing and you're able, excellent. Come and talk to us. Let's find out how we can get you in front of more of your target audience. That's what a podcast does. That's what marketing does. But unless you dream it in the first place, unless you actually aim for greatness, then you're just going around in circles. Dare to dream, you will achieve. I truly believe that. Because you find the answers to the questions that need answering to get there.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. That is powerful. It's enough for people to take home. That is powerful. There is a writer I usually quote here often. Of course, you are in the UK. It's an English writer, James Allen, who wrote "As a Man Thinketh." So he said that artists, of course, he used artists, but now I'm going to use content creator. Artists are the creators of the other world. Because you said you should be bold enough to think. And I think we should think. It's very important.
Yes.
Because we need to be able to imagine the kind of world that we want to live in. And we should be bold enough to demand it by building it, putting in our effort to realize it. Because until we do that, it will not happen. I sort of come to have the feeling that particularly us, because I'm not talking of the whole world, but I'm talking of mainly African diaspora and Nigeria in a specific sense, that we are not bold enough to really claim our place in the world. We believe somebody's going to help, somebody's going to do it for us. In terms of technology, we want to play by the rule.
Yes.
Because rules are for the amateur.
Yeah.
When you are mature, you must create your own rule.
Yes.
Anyway, I don't want to start. I don't want to
No, please, don't stop there. Do your preaching, my friend. You're right. I mean that sincerely. You're dead right. Look, let me tell you a quick story. You see, like I said, I spent years being very intentional about my LinkedIn work and my marketing. So I wouldn't connect with Nigerians because many of them are not business owners. who can afford to pay me. I was wrong. I can acknowledge that. So I think this time last year, I sort of changed. Once there was LinkedIn audio, I changed my mind, right? Once I set this goal to work with companies on every planet, every continent, I had to then embrace Africans because I want to work with them. That's what intentionality looks like. Right. So part of my journey from there on was meeting Nigerian people on LinkedIn. I met this boy. I spoke to a couple of people. The first one I spoke to, I think, he was doing courses. Nigerians love to do courses. They love to keep learning forever. My dad was the same, by the way. And that's why I'm not interested in, no, it's not, I'm not interested in learning. I don't want to learn forever. I want to make a difference, right? And that's why I'm action focused more than just keep thinking. You have to think before you can act. I agree. But, you have to act eventually. Just do something, right? Anyway, so first person I spoke to, I was like, oh, and then they just disappeared. My sister, she helps Nigerians actively. So she's the one that keeps Nigerian people in real life. I'm a digital person, right? I remember I spoke to one of the people who's helping education in this country. I'm saying to him, right, young man, what are you doing? I'm doing marketing. I'm like, oh, okay, that's interesting. Come and talk to me. What can we do for Nigerians? Let's work out something. Let's help them from here. I'm like, frustration, right? I walked away. Anyway, never heard from him again. I got to number 3. Someone called Zion Enuguru. I don't know if you ever met him on LinkedIn. Zion, right? I done a Zoom call with him. Zion, what do you do? Oh, I'm a photographer. I'm like, so you take pictures of who? What? People, families and family pictures. I'm like, okay, that's great. That's good. But you got a degree in accountancy, right? And you can do whatever you want to do. It was like, no, it took me seriously. It was like, yeah, look, I will think about things. I'm saying, Zion, I want to help companies. Maybe you can do the pictures for businesses. If you want to just involve your service a little bit, we can work together. My phone's going off. I'm going to turn that off. Look, and then, that's when after talking to Zion, I was like, okay, another one I'll chalk off as whatever. I left it at that. Turned round. You know what? Next time I saw Zion, which is a couple of weeks later online, this 30-year-old boy, as far as I see him, because I'm older than him, he changed completely. He changed. He reinvented himself literally in 2 weeks. He just flipped. Now he called himself Mr. Positive Energy. I'm like, what's that? I'm here to spread positivity. I'm saying, what's that? You and I are positive people, right? You and I, like I say, the whole point of your podcast, the whole point of my business is to help people. So we're positive people. We believe in aspiring and achieving. That's a positive mindset. He took it to the whole next level. He started preaching about positive energy on LinkedIn. He opened the LinkedIn audio room. I started posting about positive energy. I'm like, okay, what's that? We do this naturally. Why is he going on like this? And that's a Nigerian boy in Lagos, really. I'm like, why is he going on like this? He invited me to one of his rooms, one of his positive energy rooms. It's on Friday evenings. So that Sunday, it made me a co-host. I went along. So I'm like, okay, what's going to happen? There's people there from all across the world. Black, white, Asians. They all come to talk about positivity, the need to be of the right mindset, how being positive has helped them. Some of them talk about tragic stories. Now, there's some of them who thought of killing themselves, and now they've realized there's a positive way of looking at life. The point I'm making here is this. This boy has taken over the internet. He's taken over LinkedIn. This boy is doing podcast after podcast. This boy has spoken on international stages. I'm talking about since August, by the way. He gets invited to forums, come and speak in front of people and talk about positive energy. Then this was a boy who was going nowhere in August. No, there was a nobody whatsoever. In literally 6 months, he's made himself a superstar. Now we're writing a book. Now we're helping him write a book about positive energy. Now I want to make him an even bigger star. To literally go and start doing speeches and make money and make millions of pounds while he's doing his speeches and inspiring people. This is what you can achieve wherever you are. Now, this is the point. Now, you and I can achieve this. Zion has, but he's had to work very hard at it. Of course, he has. And don't forget now. I never forget in the back of my mind when I talk to Nigerians or Africans as a whole that you have this problem of connectivity, which we don't have in the Western world. If I want electric, it's normally on 24/7. If I want internet, I can have 10. My house is full of devices. My kids use devices. We have 24/7 internet. Most Nigerians don't have 24/7 internet. They buy data, which is expensive. Now, learn to buy internet anyway. It opens the world a lot more. So every time this Zion steps online, it's costing him money. But for his belief in himself, for his ability to dare to dream, and to see something, a gap in the market, it's created this movement of positivity, which is remarkable. I'm in awe because literally I'm like, I talk to you, I was bigger than you, then now you're bigger than me, which is great. It's a great thing to see. It really is. It makes me believe that it really is possible to be anything, and which I've always done. But when you see it actually happen, I can preach more about it because this is why I'm here. This is why when I saw your name, your podcast, I need to be on that podcast because it really is true. It's doable. If you can dare to dream, create a strategy, things will come to help you. You never know. A lot of people think the idea of dreaming and planning a strategy for your business is to know how it's going to happen. It's not. If you don't think it, if you don't dream it, if you don't envision it, it will never happen. But if you dare to dream it, and if you dare to write it down as well, things will come to you that you never ever imagined coming to you. You meet people, you get resources, you get advice, you get help, get opportunities that will move you to where you want to get to. This is the message that I want to leave people with. Everyone can be a Zion. Everyone. Do check out Zion Eny Osung, on LinkedIn. Really, message me. I'll give you, after I'll spell his name properly. But he really is living proof that you can become a superstar from nothing just by working so hard and daring to dream. We can all do it. You can, I can. I'm doing it. You're doing it. Zion's doing it. Why not our listeners?
Thank you so much for that. This is beautiful. This is really beautiful. Can you imagine that we did more than 2 hours and we haven't even finished?
I'm sure. Let's book another time to do the cultural part of the interview. I think I'd love to do that. I really would.
Certainly. If you enjoy this podcast, make sure you subscribe so you never miss any of our future episodes. Rate and review Obehi Podcast and share with your friends who might need it. I remain Obehi Ewafo. Thank you so much for listening and talk to you in the next episode.